Hello. This was the best avatar I could think of for this stream. Not quite a teddy bear, but still fun. And I hope we can have a good time in this stream. How's the sound? Am I coming through all right? I've had troubles with this sort of thing in the past. And greetings to you, Kanaka Pohaku. Very glad to see you here. I saw that you also had peeked in a little early. I feel I should have some music here to help fill in anything. But in the past, when I've had music playing, it gets flagged and then muted. Because I like the stuff that isn't public domain. I hope excuse me, it's still early for me, so my throat is not at its best. Yeah, I'm sorry for being so quiet. This audience is small right now, and I'm kind of waiting for more people to come in and interact with and bounce off of. I swear I'm more entertaining than this. But then again, I am just a giant grizzly at the moment. Ha 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 ha. I've been looking forward to doing this stream for a while and just running off a bunch of ideas of the kind of things I can do. Yeah, I've got a bunch of books at the ready, and I've got some works of Edgar Allan Poe to do. Let's see if I can actually pull them up. Oh, crap. Which window did I put them in? I am so disorganized that I've got windows upon windows upon windows of stuff. But yeah, the works of Edgar Allan Poe that I've got at the ready are The Raven, very classic, The Telltale Heart, and one of my personal favorites, The Cask of Amontillado. I remember seeing so many things that referenced it as a kid, and I just thought it was so spooky scary, that I wanted to know the origin, but I didn't know how to find the origin. And then I stumbled across it, and I lost my ever-loving mind. Because the idea of interning someone in a crypt, very creepy. I love that. I love the creepy shit. I've even got a nice little setup at the ready for the readings, and ta-da! I look a bit scholarly as I have this book here and these reading glasses. I don't actually need reading glasses in real life, but it sells the look. Getting a bit of... Let me just test that my sound is coming in fine. I've even got a nice little setup at the ready for the readings, and ta-da! Okay, that's interesting. That is quite a delay I have between me doing this and what's being shown right now on YouTube. But that's fine. That just means there might be a bit of a delay between questions being answered and me responding in a timely manner. Well, perhaps I should start with a reading of The Raven, because I did promise mostly chatting and reading, but if no one's talking, then I must be reading. That shall be the way it goes, yeah. Plus, I've been looking forward to making more funny, dramatic voices, which I don't allow myself to do very often in my recordings, because not a lot of scripts call for that, but I need to find a few more that do. Thank you, Kanaka, for confirming that the volume is good. If there's any sound issues at all, please let me know, and I will do my very best to fix it. Okay. I suppose I should start with The Raven. And then if anyone pops up, we can get some of the longer, more in-depth readings. I love the fact that my ears react to my eyebrow wiggling, even if it does make my glasses move a little wonky. Because I have very expressive eyebrows. I'm just a little sad that I can't show off my people's eyebrow. I can raise my right eyebrow much higher than my left. Ha ha ha. All right. Children, let us begin. With Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. I've not practiced this before, so let's see how well I can do this off the cuff. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over a many quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more." Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but, with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is upon the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird upon his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpted bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of nevermore. But the raven still beguiling at my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking Nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, and the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose violet lining and the lamplight gloating over she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite and nepenthe from my memories of Lenore. Quaff, quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore. Desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the day's distant Aden it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight over him streaming throws his shadows on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. not bad for a first piece. Hail to thee, Patroclus. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I just thought I'd get started with a little bit of reading. Indeed, I bid thee welcome. I have absolutely no idea how long this stream will be lasting. Hour, 2 hours, 3, however long I can get my voice to last. I've got a slew of drinks next to me to help keep my throat lubricated. And I guess that also depends on audience participation. Because while I have, my reading at the ready, I also encourage some chatting. Got to catch my breath. I'm not a professional voice actor by any means yet. So I need to get my dramatic breath every time I do this sort of thing. Well, I hope you have a good day at work, whatever it is you do. Though considering it's Sunday, unless you're on the other side of the planet, I don't know. Yes, I imagine whatever you do on a Sunday, it's going to be a little bit rough. My first guess, though, is like restaurant work, the brunch rush, the post-church crowd. I do not miss those days. Especially the Sunday brunch, after church, Mother's Day crowd. Good God. But yeah, I even got, let me just pull them up. Oh, a tour guide at Ben & Jerry's. That's cool. I used to work at an ice cream parlor that was kind of set up to be like a rival to Ben & Jerry's, but it became kind of a friendly local rivalry. Oh yeah, I bet it is pretty wild. All that ice cream, all that curiosity. But yeah, as I was saying, I got copies of the Iliad. I don't have a hand cam at yet, so you just have to settle for me flipping through the pages. The Odyssey. And I got both of the versions that are translated by Emily Wilson. I've been curious about reading her work on it because it's with no disrespect meant to those who translated Homer's works in the past, it's more conscientious of the language used and the language it was translated to. Excuse me. And I also got a collection from Charles Bukowski, The Pleasures of the Damned, the collection of his poems from 1951 to 1993. Oh, so you're familiar with the Emily Wilson translation. Again, I still need to read it, but I got these from the library, so I'm going to spend next few days reading these as much as I can, especially the Odyssey. And of course, because I was so busy trying to figure out how to set up my stream, it was a lot of scuff I had to try to polish. I was trying to get OBS set up, but it wasn't properly connecting with YouTube, so then I had to move over to Streamlabs and undo all of my work. That I had meant to bookmark certain passages, and I just failed to do that. Any, let's see, any passages that you think would be good to read from the Odyssey, since that's one I have in my life? Wow, you can really see just how much I tilt over. Yeah, I get very bendy in my chair, especially because I don't have a proper computer chair right now. I have an armchair that I just set up in front of my computer because it is small, it is comfy. The only downside is that it doesn't recline, but that's probably for the best, because then I'd be like, what, a reverse shrimp? Oh, and of course, can't forget my favorite brick. Seriously, like, this is like 3 inches thick. I'm not joking. The unabridged collection of Shakespeare. Every single thing he's written. The plays, the sonnets. Like a windsock. A windsock at a car dealership, sure. That is what I am. I'm a windsock. Just blowing in the breeze. The floppy dancer. Although, I always forget the number, which is embarrassing because, all right, there it is. Sonnet 130. Shaking pears. Yeah, Sonnet 130 is my absolute favorite sonnet. I remember during initial quarantine, Sir Patrick Stewart started reading a sonnet every day, and let's just say I looked forward to him reading Sonnet 130. Hold me slow. Oh, you are on a roll today, Patroclus. All right, let's get this sonnet out real quick because I love sharing it. Gotta get a quick drink. Got some gamer subs initially to get me going. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads upon the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare. Yeah, that's my favorite Shakespeare sonnet just because it's so honest. It's like, yeah, you're not as great as the poems. Like, you're simple, you're base, you're human, you're filthy, and I love you still. Yeah, Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart. Just love him. First introduction to him, of course, as Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise. Yeah, been a fan of him ever since. But I gotta say, the role of his that sticks with me, in that it is so unlike what I've seen him do before, was in The Green Room, where he played a skinhead leader. It just that movie is so wild. Just what the fuck? What the fuck? I heard that when he read the script, he ended up like locking all of his doors and getting a drink of like, I don't know, scotch or something, because it unnerved him that much. And yeah, it's a good movie. He plays the role fantastically. Just, God, so terrifying. Nazi punks, fuck off. Yeah, yeah. He would like just look up The Green Room, and it was actually one of the last roles of crap. What's his name? The guy that played. Oh my god, I am blanking on names right now. He was the actor in the Star Trek reboot movies, the one who died young. Oh my god. Was it Scott? No, not Scotty. It wasn't Scotty. Anton. That's the hopefully part of his name. Anton. But yeah, Green Room is a wild movie. Not for the faint of heart, but I do not have a faint heart. I watch some fucked up shit. Yeah, I definitely recommend seeing it because, again, skinhead leader. Sir Patrick Stewart. Just, gah. So good. So good. All right, now that I'm getting my breath back. I might have to break into my tea a little early today. Usually when I do recording, I've got, I brew up some lemon ginger tea with so much honey. That is my version of Gollum juice, because it's very good for the throat. But I have what is colloquially known as cat's tongue, in that I cannot handle heat, like temperature heat, when eating. So when I drink tea, it's got to be at just the right temperature. But once it hits that just right temperature, the clock is ticking to when it'll be too cold to properly enjoy. So I either have to scorch my tongue or get ready to chug. Have a good day at work, Patroclus. Thank you for joining. Hope you see you again sometime. And enjoy any of my videos. Like, subscribe. Sorry, couldn't help it. Gotta do it. Alright. Maybe later I'll scramble through Iliad and the Odyssey, or hell, maybe I'll do some recording and just release it as a series of readings, because I've seen other ASMR artists. Crap, I'm forgetting. I'm terrible with names. There's one who I saw released chapter by chapter, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. Not Alice in Wonderland, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. If you're going to be quoting the original classics, you gotta give the title, the proper title. You gotta give the proper title. And so she kind of released it as like a bedtime story sort of situation. And while it would be very arduous to do the Iliad and the Odyssey, it's not impossible. So there's that. Over in that way, I have the door to my office, and it's closed right now because the boys were fighting. George and Savini were just going at it because Savini gets morning and evening zoomies. And poor George, he's like 14, 15 years old. He's an old cat. Not that you would usually know it when you look at him or see him move, but he is a grumpy old man. So when a little whippersnapper like Savini starts going at him, you ever seen boys try to dominate their dads? Like, yeah, I'm tough, I can take you out, ha. Like, get wrecked, old man. And then the old man just lays into him. That is my cats. That is my cats. But yeah, the door is high enough that there's enough space under it that Savini can just fit his paw and most of his arm under. I actually have a video that I posted on my Blue Sky of Savini reaching under the door and finding a little plush, not quite keychain, but it's got, that the strap on the back so you can hang it off of stuff. Excuse me. He managed to find one, grab it, and attempted to pull it under the door, but it didn't fit. Alright, it's quiet again, so I guess I shall get back to reading. But hey, ask me anything, you cowards. Pardon. Yeah, I'm trying to lessen the amount of gross noises I create. Okay, now I'm going to be reading The Telltale Heart. It's true. It's true! Yes, I have been ill, very ill. But why do you say that I have lost control of my mind? Why do you say that I am mad? Can you not see that I have full control of my mind? Is it not clear that I am not mad? Indeed, the illness only made my mind, my feelings, my senses stronger, more powerful. My sense of hearing especially became more powerful. I could hear sounds I had never heard before. I heard sounds from heaven. I heard sounds from hell. Listen, listen, and I will tell you how it happened. You will see, you will hear how healthy my mind is. It is impossible to say how the idea first entered my head. There was no reason for what I did. I did not hate the old man. I even loved him. He had never hurt me. I did not want his money. I think it was his eye. His eye was like that of a vulture. The eye of one of those terrible birds that watch and wait while an animal dies, and then fall upon the dead body and pull it to pieces to eat it. When the old man looked at me with his vulture eye, a cold feeling went up and down my back. Even my blood became cold. And so, I finally decided I had to kill the old man and close that eye forever. So you think that I am mad? A madman cannot plan. But you should have seen me. During all of that week, I was as friendly to the old man as I could be, and warm and loving. Pardon. Oh, you saw that video, Kanaka? I love my cats, as ridiculous as they are. Where was it? Every night about 12 o'clock, I slowly opened his door. And when the door was opened wide enough, I put my hand in, and then my head. In my hand, I held a light covered over with a cloth so that no light showed. And I stood there quietly. Then carefully, I lifted the clock just a little, so that a single, thin, small light fell across that eye. For 7 nights I did this, 7 long nights, every night at midnight. Always the eye was closed, so that it was impossible for me to do the work. For it was not the old man I felt I had to kill. It was the eye, his evil eye. What do I do for a living? Unfortunately, I'm choosing not to answer that for my own safety and privacy. But I have had a variety of jobs through time. My last job was at a call center, which was hell. I hate working. I hate answering phones. But I still went and worked at a call center because I needed the work, and that was something that was available. And it was hell. It was absolute hell. Let's see. So I will say, I will answer any questions within limits. But I will not lie. I will not tell lies for any questions I answer. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm also hiding behind a bear avatar. I am female on the internet. I need to defend myself, as fucked up as that is. But yeah, the call center I used to work at was for setting up transportation between people on Medicare and their medical appointments. So I had to call a bunch of different cab companies that we had contracted to try to set up, hey, we have person A at address A. You need to go to location B tomorrow, pick up this time, drop off that time. And I would have to go through all of them. I don't miss working there, especially in the wintertime. For whatever reason, wintertime was the worst. I would be spending hours upon hours in overtime just trying to fill out these rides. You know, I'm going to remove the book while I am answering, so it's a little more distinct when I am reciting and when I am answering. Yeah. Ugh. Oh, the stories I could tell of that place. Even if I have to be very vague so as to not violate HIPAA. Because again, these were medical rides. It was literally prescribed rides because it was important that these people get to their appointments. And heaven help us should a blizzard hit, because I will say I live in the American Northeast. I live in New England. So when we get our nor'easters, when we get the hurricanes that became snow, because a lot of the cab companies, very rightly, would say, yeah, we're not doing any transportation today. It is way too dangerous to be out on those roads. And some people were fairly understanding. He's like, yeah, this is awful. I don't want to go out there either. And other people would be like, how dare you? I need to get to this appointment. But yeah. I guess you could say I'm more aligned to temp work. Although I'm thinking of going back, well, not really, of going to trade school and learning how to be a plumber, because that will bring in serious money, and I'm not afraid of doing some hard work. In fact, sometimes I have to hold back from exerting strength because I have an unfortunate history of breaking things while trying to force open or close, or I have stripped a few screws in my time. But I am pretty handy. I know how to bleed a fuel line for an oil furnace, which comes in handy when we suddenly use up all the heating oil in the dead of February, and we need to get some fuel back in the line. I even did some repairs on my washing machine, the dishwasher, because the motor was making weird noises, and I did need like a second pair of hands to like lift the damn thing. And then when the person helping me had to go to the bathroom, I was like, I can do this myself. So I propped it up on a chair. Like I used a chair to help prop it up enough. And then when I went to stand up, I knocked the chair aside and got the dishwasher slamming into my face. I still got the scar on my forehead because that was gnarly. I was still fine. It's like I just got wanged in the head with a dishwasher. And I'm lucky that I just got the gash that I walked away with. Yes, the call center job was very tedious, especially when the cab companies were like, oh yeah, we can do that. How much you gonna pay me? It's like, motherfucker, you already put in your rates. You know what your rate is. Just take the damn ride. It's like, I don't know. I could do it for a little more money. And for some reason, it was like they conspired together in the winter just to like, I don't know. Why don't you pay me a little more? And we would just have this whole fucking runaround. And we would stay hours and hours after closing time because we had to find rides for everybody before we could get home. I literally worked like 15-hour shifts at that place. I was lucky that where I lived was a 15-minute walk. Because I would just get home, maybe have a bite to eat, flop in bed, and then have to get up, go back to work as soon as I woke up. Just, ugh. Arguably, the call center I worked at before that was slightly more entertaining because that was at a fire safety. So it would get people who had the products saying, hey, our fire extinguisher needs to oh my god, I cannot find all my words today. The fire extinguisher needs to be examined. Can you send someone to make sure it's still working? Or, hey, so our forklift operator accidentally hit the sprinkler head, and now it's dumping water into our warehouse. Can you send someone to fix this? And the like. It wasn't too bad a job, but I was a temp. So when they let me go with no warning 2 weeks before Christmas. Very rude. Very rude. Yeah, temp work is not fun, but sometimes you need it to pay the bills. Have some more drink. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. The evil eye. His evil eye. And every morning I went to his room, and with a warm, friendly voice, I asked him how he slept. He could not guess that every night, just at 12, I looked in at him as he slept. The 8th night, I was more than usually careful as I opened the door. The hands of a clock moved more quickly than did my hand. Never before had I felt so strongly my own power. I was now sure of success. The old man was lying there, not dreaming that I was at his door. Suddenly he moved in his bed. You may think I became afraid, but no. The darkness in his room was thick and black. I knew he could not see the opening of the door. I continued to push the door, slowly, softly. I put in my head. I put in my hand with the covered light. Suddenly the old man sat straight up in bed and cried, "Who's there?" I stood quite still. For a whole hour I did not move, nor did I hear him again lie down in his bed. He just sat there, listening. Then I heard a sound, a low cry of fear, which escaped from the old man. Now I knew that he was sitting up in his bed, filled with fear. I knew that he knew that I was there. He did not see me there. He could not hear me there. He felt me there. Now he knew that death was standing there. Slowly, little by little, I lifted the cloth until a small light escaped from under it to fall upon that vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and my anger increased as it looked straight at me. I could not see the old man's face, only that eye, that hard blue eye, and the blood in my body became like ice. Have I not told you that my hearing had become unusually strong? Now I could hear a quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall. It was the beating of the old man's heart. I tried to stand quietly, but the sound grew louder. The old man's fear must have been great indeed. And as the sound grew louder, my anger became greater and more painful. But it was more than anger. In the quiet night, in the dark silence of the bedroom, my anger became fear. For the heart was beating so loudly that I was sure someone must hear. The time had come. I rushed into the room crying, "Die! Die!" The old man gave a loud cry of fear as I fell upon him and held the bed covers tightly over his head. Still his heart was beating, but I smiled as I felt that success was near. For many minutes that heart continued to beat, but at last the beating stopped. The old man was dead. I took away the bed covers and held my ear over his heart. There was no sound. Yes, he was dead, dead as a stone. His eye would trouble me no more. So I am mad, you say? You should have seen how careful I was to put the body where no one could find it. First I cut off the head, then the arms and the legs. I was careful not to let a single drop of blood fall on the floor. I pulled up 3 of the boards that formed the floor and put the pieces of the body there. Then I put the boards down again carefully, so carefully that no human eye could see that they had been moved. As I finished this work, I heard that someone was at the door. It was now 4 o'clock in the morning, but still dark. I had no fear, however, as I went down to open the door. 3 men were out the door, 3 officers of the police. One of the neighbors had heard the old man's cry and had called the police. These 3 had come to ask questions and to search the house. I asked the policeman to come in. The cry, I said, was my own, in a dream. The old man, I said, was away. He had gone to visit a friend in the country. I took them through the whole house, telling them to search it all, to search well. I led them finally into the old man's bedroom. As if playing a game with them, I asked them to sit down and talk a while. My easy, quiet manner made the police believe my story, so they sat talking with me in a friendly way. But although I answered them in the same way, I soon wished that they would go. My head hurt, and there was a strange sound in my ears. I talked more and faster. The sound became clearer, and still they sat and talked. Suddenly I knew that the sound was not in my ears. It was not just inside my head. At that moment I must have become quite white. I talked still, faster and louder, and the sound too became louder. It was quick, low, soft sound, like the sound of a clock heard through a wall, a sound I knew well. Louder it became, and louder. Why did the men not go? Louder and louder, I stood up and walked quickly around the room. I pushed my chair across the floor to make more noise, to cover that terrible sound. I talked even louder, and still the men sat and talked and smiled. Was it possible that they could not hear? No, they heard. I was certain of it. They knew. Now it was they who were playing a game with me. I was suffering more than I could bear from their smiles and from that sound, louder and louder and louder. Suddenly I could bear it no longer. I pointed at the boards and cried, "Yes! Yes, I killed him! Pull up the boards and you shall see. I killed him! But why does his heart not stop beating? Why does it not stop?" The end. I do really want to go over the top, but I am aware of how much my microphone is picking up, and I'd like to not deafen my audience. But yeah, I may just record that as its own video and shriek into the mic and then adjust it later on. Because I actually just did an audio where I spent a good chunk of time yelling because, let's see, the character is a tsundere mech engineer. So, of course, screaming and scolding at the dumbass mech pilot that they repair for, but they truly care for. Because tsundere, I did not do this just because of you, dummy. I had other responsibilities, and you just happened to fall in line with them. Truth be told, I'm actually not a huge fan of tsunderes. Or maybe that's just I don't like a lot of the tsunderes I've seen portrayed. You know what? This calls for a honey break. I actually do have a bunch of honey straws with me, and it should help soothe my voice. Pardon. Honey straws are pretty tasty. Although surprisingly, it was only recently that I learned how you could open it with just your teeth. I'd always tried to cut it, and then you lose a drop of honey right on the scissors. But no, you just bite at the seam, and it'll pop right off. Well, no, pop right open. It won't pop off because it doesn't have a cap. It's just sealed. I do kind of wish it was more environmentally friendly, not to just have a plastic. But also, I have no idea what would be a better solution to put it in. Because I try to be a little more environmentally conscious, but there are some things that I just can't get into, like paper straws. I hate them. It's a terrible mouthfeel. So what I have instead is I have metal straws. So it's not like in Heart Eyes, where a character just randomly carries a metal straw with her. But I do use them for if I'm going out and I have a drink with me. No, I'm not portraying this properly. There are some times where I'm traveling in my car and I might use a straw, but instead, and I usually only use a straw if I got really good lipstick going on and I don't want to smear it across the can. So I just have a nice little metal straw, because then I can toss the can and keep the straw. because the can will have much better recycling life than a plastic straw. Oh, it's already been an hour. Huh. Time flies when you're reading Edgar Allan Poe. Hi, Undead 7. Welcome to the stream. I was just taking a quick honey break, getting a nice little honey straw. I actually have two flavors available, vanilla and orange blossom. And I actually like the orange blossom flavor better, so I'm just trying to eat all the vanilla to get rid of them. Oh no, that's fine, Kanaka. I understand the whole, oh, what do I say? I'm just the only one. How do I, as a single participant in the stream, help keep this going? Don't worry, it's not your responsibility to do it. I just, the beginning can be kind of slow, because like, oh, where do I find the energy? But even though this is my first stream as Midnight Teddy, I have attempted streams as a different persona on Twitch, and that was woefully empty. Just like, no one was interested. Which, fine, fair. Twitch is a very saturated market. I can't really blame them. But it's also just fun to, unwind and chat with one's audience and, get to know them. They get to know me. And we just have a good time all around. That's my goal, is to kind of foster community wherever I can. Community is so much to me because I didn't really have much community as I was growing up. So now that I am able to foster either the communities that I've joined or ones that I can create, I try to do what I can. That is my act of rebellion, my hope core. Because I am lucky enough to actually have a house, and note my words, lucky, because this isn't like just buckle down, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, no. I was fortunate enough to have people in my life to make it a reality, okay? You can't overlook the power of luck. Anyway, you're gonna have to forgive me. I go on tangents very easily. Don't be afraid to write me back on course whenever necessary. So anyway, I have a sizable yard. Kind of a rough, I'm getting, and I try to grow various plants. Like, when I moved in, there were a bunch of wild raspberries, so I've been fostering them. And now in the summertime, I can pick enough raspberries, and I freeze a bunch of them until I'm ready, and I can make raspberry jam or raspberry pie. It's full of seeds, by the way, because these are, seeded, again, wild raspberries. But I will also grow a bunch of veggies, squash, tomatoes. Love growing tomatoes. I love making my own sauce, even though I'm still terrible at it. I only just recently figured out how to not make it taste so metallic. You have to blanch the tomatoes. I'm going off on tangents again. Anyway, with all the plants and things I grow, even grapes, I try to encourage my neighbors, like, take what you want. You want to have a tomato with your lunch, and you happen to walk by and you see a nice plump tomato, grab it. I got some grapes, I got some raspberries, I got some squash. You see something you want, you pluck it off, and you just enjoy it. Unfortunately, not a lot of people take me up on that because that's the still awkward. I don't want to step on your property because that's not okay. So then I just have to aggressively offer. Sometimes I even just walk up like, hey, I have a bowl of freshly picked tomatoes, and I see you there having a nice stroll through the neighborhood. I see you walking your dog. Would you like some? Would you like to take some home? And that's how I try to foster community in my neighborhood. Just show kindness. Like, hey, I'm willing to help you because I want to help you. No alternatives. Like, you could probably argue that it's like Hope Corps doomsday prep, because if I treat you well now, maybe you'll treat me well in the downfall of civilization. Huh? So you gotta think about the long game. But yeah, back to my original point. This is just me trying to build a community. Even if it's, just me reading stories and playing characters that make you smile or make you fearful, make you laugh. Like I definitely seem to be falling in certain niches, and trust me, the numbers that I see sometimes is like, why? Because I see people liking the slow and sultry voices. You just like the kind of dummy mommy monsters. or like the man-eater types. Like, yes, I am going to tear you down and make you beg for more. How does it feel to have that read out by a grizzly bear? I've got like 3 different kinds of drinks here to help my throat. Because I'm actually not much of a talker, IRL. Just either I'm not around a lot of people, or I just let other people dominate the conversation. Which is also part of why I love doing what I do. I actually get to talk. I get to have people enjoy my voice. Let me catch my breath for a second. Honey break. Yeah, if you've never had a honey straw in your life, I recommend trying it at least once. Depending on where you go, you can find it in like little country shop type deals. You can either get it, just as is or infused with flavor. I suggest orange blossom if you find it. Vanilla is kind of good, although I also recently treated myself and I got a very fancy jar of honey with infused with vanilla. Like, it literally has a vanilla bean sitting in it. It tastes like marshmallow. I got a jar of honey that tastes like marshmallow. But I had the very stupid idea of putting it in my Gollum juice tea. You're going to hear me use the term Gollum juice a lot. If you're not familiar, when Andy Serkis was first playing Gollum in the Lord of the Rings, for the voice role, he had this very soothing concoction, which was hot water, ginger, lemon, and honey. I kind of cheat by just having lemon ginger tea with lots of honey. And when I say lots of honey, I mean the honey gives the tea body. It needs to have body or it just doesn't taste right to me. So I got this new honey and I thought, I'm going to try it in my tea. Do not add vanilla honey to lemon ginger tea. It is awful. It is so awful. I had to dump the thing. I was just, not doing this. I may try it in my peach tea later because I also have peach tea. I'm a sucker for the sweet. If I don't have honey in my tea, I'm at least putting in 2 sugars. And I had to develop that taste with my nesting partner's grandma because she's got so much tea. And so I had to figure out what I liked really fast. Although I should try, I think I've tried Earl Grey, and I kind of want to try it again. Or maybe I'm just influenced because I once gave my friend Earl Grey perfume, and it smelled phenomenal. Just, ugh. Demeter scents. Just, I need to get more from there. Though those scents are so wild, but so good, so accurate. Like the first perfume I got from them was Paperback Book. So just that delightful book smell. Yeah, if you hear ice, that's me having gamer subs. I used to drink a lot of Monster, but that got... I could not continue the cost. Gamer subs is much better in terms of stretching your dollar. And it's probably for the best because I can just make a cup, put in some juice so I have more in my cup. And then I can just drink it as long as I want because the kind of Monster I was drinking, you can just drink again and again and again. It tasted so good. But then I would just end up my poor heart palpitating over and over. Oh. Especially, what was it? Monster Rehab. That line, which is a lot of tea and juice. Oh, yes. The lemonade one was the first Monster I actually liked. Arguably even tried. I can't remember if I ever had the original default green M Monster. But I do remember the first time I tried a Red Bull. Oh, so nasty. Thank goodness I was outside because it was in, it was out. And then I got to find out just how I am when I'm hopped up on caffeine. Because I had that lemonade and I was just talking a mile a minute. It's like, you think I'm talking fast now? No, this was about how fast I was talking when I was on the lemonade. You just go on and on and on and never stop and never stop. And I just had to keep going and I had to keep going. Okay, I think I'm good with my honey. No, I said I'm good with my honey. No, put it away. Very well. Put it away. Hey, put it away. Why can I not put my honey away? Put it away. Put it away. There we go. The honey is gone now. Ah. There's only so much I should really ingest. Alright, probably one more thing of Poe. And, I'm giving some thought right now. Slowly let the gears and the cogs turn in my empty, fluff-filled head. Honestly, I might stop the stream around 12 o'clock unless more people come. And keep up the energy because I can probably talk to myself for hours, but I don't know. Also got to think about my voice and my throat. And I will also do some more editing today because I managed to get 2 recordings done yesterday and also finished and uploaded 2 videos yesterday. Because I try to have a good amount of buffer. That's why I'm able to upload thrice a week. And this, I only collected 3 things of Poe to do today, which are my favorites. And the third and final one for now is the Cask of Amontillado. Oh, god damn it. You can probably hear that, because if I can hear it, my mic is picking it up. So many engines that just go through my neighborhood. It's not even like a busy neighborhood. You just get big trucks occasionally coming through. This time of year, it's probably mostly the heating oil trucks making their deliveries. All right. Fortunato had hurt me 1,000 times, and I had suffered quietly. But then I learned that he had laughed at my proud name, Montresor, the name of an old and honored family. I promised myself that I would make him pay for this, that I would have revenge. You must not suppose, however, that I spoke of this to anyone. I would make him pay, yes, but I would act only with the greatest care. I must not suffer as a result of taking my revenge. A wrong is not made right in that matter. And also, the wrong would not be made right unless Fortunato knew that he was paying and knew who was forcing him to pay. I gave Fortunato no cause to doubt me. I continued to smile in his face, and he did not understand that I was now smiling at the thought of what I planned for him, at the thought of my revenge. You want me to read the Cask of Amontillado in my mouse voice? Oh, God. Okay. I can do this. Oh, God, and of course it has to start with this line. Okay, give me a second. I can't smile too much or I can't do it.
Fortunato was a strong man, a man to be feared. But he had one great weakness. He liked to drink good wine, and indeed he drank much of it. So he knew a lot about fine wines and proudly believed that he was a trained judge of them. I, too, knew old wines well, and I bought the best I could find. And wine, I thought, wine would give me my revenge. It was almost dark, one evening in the spring, when I met Fortunato in the street, alone. He spoke to me more warmly than was usual, for already he had drunk more wine than was good for him. I acted pleased to see him, and I shook his hand as if he had been my closest friend. "Fortunato, how are you?" "Montresor, good evening, my friend." "My dear Fortunato, I am indeed glad that I have met you. I was just thinking of you, for I have been tasting my new wine. I bought a full cask of a fine wine, which they tell me is Amontillado. But Amontillado? Quite impossible." "I know. It does not seem possible. As I could not find you, I was just going to talk to Lucrezi. If anyone understands wine, it is Lucrezi. He will tell me, 'Lucrezi? He does not know one wine from another.' But they say he knows as much about wines as you know." "Oh, come, let us go." "Go where?" "To your vaults, to taste the wine."
Do you have any idea how hard it is to do a deep mouse voice?
"No, my friend, no. I can see that you are not well, and the vaults are cold and wet." "I do not care. Let us go. I'm well enough. The cold is nothing. Amontillado, someone is playing games with you. And Lucrezi? Ha! Lucrezi knows nothing about wines, nothing at all." As he spoke, Fortunato took my arm, and I allowed him to hurry me to my great stone palace, where my family, the Montressors, had lived for centuries. There was no one at home. I had told the servants that they must not leave the palace, as I would not return until the following morning, and they must care for the place. This, I knew, was enough to make it certain that they would all leave as soon as my back was turned. I took down from their places on the wall 2 brightly burning lights. I gave one of these to Fortunato and led him to a wide doorway. There we could see the stone steps going down into the darkness. Asking him to be careful as he followed, I went down before him, down under the ground, deep under the old walls of my palace. We came finally to the bottom of the steps and stood there a moment together. The earth which formed the floor was cold and hard. We were entering the last resting place of the dead of the Montressor family. Here, too, we kept our finest wines, here in the cool, dark, still air under the ground. Fortunato's step was not sure because of the wine he had been drinking. He looked uncertainly around him, trying to see through the thick darkness which pushed in around us. Here our brightly burning light seemed weak indeed. But our eyes soon became used to the darkness. We could see the bones of the dead lying in large piles along the walls. The stones of the walls were wet and cold. From the long rows of bottles which were lying on the floor among the bones, I chose one which contained a very good wine. Since I did not have anything to open the bottle with, I struck the stone wall with it and broke off the small end. I offered the bottle to Fortunato. He could have just tried to kill him right there with the glass that would have fallen in there. Here, Fortunato, drink some of this fine Medoc. I don't know wines. It will help to keep us warm. Drink!
Thank you, my friend. I drink to the dead who lie sleeping around us.
And I, Fortunato, I drink to your long life.
Ah, a very fine wine indeed. But the Amontillado.
That was not good. I can't do like deep and gravelly like that. It tickles my vocal cords too much. That's why I try to deepen my voice into my larynx, but I can't quite do that.
While also doing a high mouse voice.
Oh, you think so, Kanaka?
Yeah, having a cutesy voice like this for a great big grizzly, it just makes you want to hug the grizzly. If not friend, why friend-shaped? If not for hugs, why have big arms? Let's see, where did I leave off?
But the Amontillado.
It is farther on. Come! We walked on for some time. We were now under the river's bed, and water fell in drops upon us from above. Deeper into the ground we went, past still more bones.
Your vaults are many and large. It seems to be no end to them.
We are a great family, and an old one. It is not far now, but I can see you are trembling with the cold. Come, let us go back before it is too late.
It is nothing. Let us go on. But first, another bottle of your Medoc.
I took it from among the bones, another bottle. It was another wine of a fine quality, a de Grave. Again I broke off the neck of the bottle. Fortunato took it and drank it all without stopping for breath. He laughed and threw the empty bottle over his shoulder. We went on, deeper and deeper into the earth. Finally, we arrived at a vault in which the air was so cold and heavy that our lights almost died. Against 3 of the walls were piles of bones higher than our heads. From the 4th wall, someone had pulled down all the bones, and they were spread all around us on the ground. In the middle of the wall was an opening to another vault, if I can call it that. A little room about 3 feet wide, 6 or 7 feet high, and perhaps 4 feet deep. It was hardly more than a hole in the wall. Go on, I said. Go in. The Amontillado's in there. Fortunato continued to go forward uncertainly. I followed him immediately, uncertainly. Oh, sorry. I followed him immediately. Soon, of course, he reached the back wall. He stood there a moment facing the wall, surprised and wondering. In that wall were 2 heavy iron rings. A short chain was hanging from one of these, and a lock from the other. Before Fortunato could guess what was happening, I closed the lock and chained him tightly to the wall. I stepped back. "Fortunato," I said, "put your hand against the wall. You must feel how the water runs over it. Once more, I ask you, please, will you not go back? No? If not, then I must leave you. But first I must do everything I can for you."
But the Amontillado. Oh, that was awful.
But the Amontillado. Ah, yes, indeed, the Amontillado. As I spoke these words, I began to search among the bones. Throwing them to one side, I found the stones which earlier I had taken down from the wall. Quickly, I began to build the wall again, covering the hole where Fortunato stood trembling.
"Montresor, what are you doing?"
I continued working. I could hear him pulling at the chain, shaking it wildly. Only a few stones remained to put in their place.
"Montresor, this is a very good joke indeed. Many times we will laugh about it, as we drink our wine together,
Of course, as we drink the Amontillado.
But it is not too late. Should we not be going back? They will be expecting us. Let us go.
Yes, let us go. As I said this, I lifted the last stone from the ground.
I've been wanting to do this dramatically, so forgive me. "Montresor, for the love of God!"
Yes, for the love of God. I heard no answer. "Fortunato!" I cried. "Fortunato?" I heard only a soft, low sound, a half cry of fear. My heart grew sick. It must have been the cold. I hurried to force the last stone into its position, and I put the old bones again in a pile against the wall. For half a century now, no human hand has touched them. May he rest in peace.
I did not anticipate reading the Cask of Amontillado in my mouse voice. But that was pretty fun. Even I definitely have to work on the voice of Fortunato, because I had initially intended to, read in my normal voice and then do a dramatic lower voice for Fortunato. "Montresor, for the love of God!" It's almost a shame I was never meant for the stage. I had done some, mostly like in school, high school, doing like the extras or the chorus or what have you. Is my voice already deepening? That's usually how I can tell when I've been talking a lot, is my voice slowly drops an octave. As I said, I've also got Shakespeare, Odyssey. I think I really should just save the Iliad and the Odyssey and release like chapters on my channel, and not sure if I'll do it as the bear, or like maybe I'll just take like a screenshot of me doing this, so it just looks like I'm reading, and then I use that as the background / thumbnail. I wouldn't have this though. I would just have it be a nice, clean kind of midnight study, but definitely keep that part. Let me just catch my breath. That's another thing that can be pretty difficult when I record, because I have to cut out a lot of quiet, a lot of silence, as I either try to measure my breath, or in the case of Null the Necromancer, all of the long pauses as I try to think of the next word or phrase that I'm going to utilize. Seriously, it sounds like that when it's raw. I also got recommended to read Charles Bukowski. I don't think I've ever actually read his works. Who knows? Maybe I did back in high school. Maybe it was one of those little paper packets with the short stories and the poems. Because some of those, were really good. Although it's really wild to look back on high school and realize, while a lot of those works are classics and well done, high schoolers are not necessarily of the mindset to appreciate those. Although I can tell you, I do not want to go back to reading Charles Dickens. Christmas Carol is great and all. You can't deny the greatness that is Christmas Carol. The other works of his are like a slog, especially Great Expectations. I hated reading Great Expectations. There was just, I could not follow along. There's just something in my brain would not allow me to maintain what was going on. Plus, the man was paid by the word. So, of course, it's going to be very lengthy. I can't, I respect the hustle. I respect what he was doing to get paid. That doesn't mean I have to enjoy it myself. And I just got this book of Bukowski poems. Just gonna open to a random page, select a poem. Oh, this looks interesting. My atomic stockpile. Oh, wait, no, wait. I have to be all scholarly so people know that I'm reading off something. My atomic stockpile. I cleaned my place the other day. First time in 10 years, and found 100 rejected poems. I fastened them all to a clipboard. Much bad reading. Now I will clean their teeth, fill their cavities, give them eye and ear examinations, weigh them, offer blood transfusions, then send them out again into the sick world of posy. Either that, or I must burn down your cities, rape your women, murder your men, enslave your children. Every time I clean my room, the world trembles in the balance. That's why I only do it once every 10 years. Interesting. I wonder if you can consider that as being like a bit haughty, and picturing your works as, no, the word I'm looking for is pretentious. Pretentious is when you think that your work is smarter or more important than it really is. Pretentious isn't just like mayhaps starting this stream before noon was a mistake on part of my brain. See, pretentious does not mean when something is like being smart or it's just like a vanity project. A work of art that someone makes to feed their ego. There was that movie that came out earlier this year that was, oh my god, I'm just blanking. It had, wow. It had Adam Driver starring in it, didn't it? And it was just, the fact that the ad campaign portrayed it as like geniuses, misunderstood in their own time, but their works went down as classics, that's pretentious. That is pretentious. Something that is smart and or vague, but doesn't take itself too seriously, that is not pretentious. Like, let's say The Lighthouse by Robert Eggers. Loved it. It was definitely smart, clever, dark in more ways than one. But it never acted that it wasn't what it was. It wasn't a movie where someone goes like, oh yes, I'm so smart because I watch movies by Robert Eggers and listen to the original way that people would have spoken, and I don't even use the subtitles because I understand perfectly what they are saying. No. Then again, maybe I've completely lost the plot. Who knows? What the fuck? Okay, so I just flipped to another page and glanced at a line of this poem and just... The big one. He buys 5 cars a month, details them, waxes and buffs them out, then resells them at a profit of 1 or 2 grand. He has a nice Jewish wife, and he tells me that he bangs her until the walls shake. He wears a red cap, squints at the light, has a regular job besides the car gig. I have no idea of what he is trying to accomplish, and maybe he doesn't either. He's a nicer fellow than most, always good to see him. We laugh, say a few bright lines, but each time, after I see him, I get the blues for him, for me, for all of us. For want of something to do, we keep slaying our small dragons as the big one waits. So clearly the line that got my attention was, tells me he bangs her until the walls shake, because that's just, it's not every day you read a poem with a line like that. But this is actually pretty interesting, very thoughtful. Just like, do the little things. We take our small victories while we wait for a big victory, a big challenge that will define us. At least that's how I interpret it. That is both the glory and the detriment of poetry, is how people find so many different meanings. And sometimes you can agree with the small caveats. You can have completely different interpretations, different readings. But when I say detriment, I mean that sometimes the actual meaning just flies over people's heads. And either they completely don't understand it, or they have a wildly incorrect viewing of it. And the example that has popped into my mind, which is going to sound silly, I admit, is Horton Hears a Who. Yes, because in the past, and maybe some now, there are people that have taken it for pro-choice, anti-abortion movements because of the repeating line, a person's a person no matter how small. And I can't remember if this was done during his lifetime, though I distinctly remember hearing that his widow was like, fuck all y'all, that's not the point. Stop using my husband's work to push your agenda. Because guess what? A fetus ain't a person. A fetus is a clump of cells. And a heartbeat means nothing. A heartbeat means nothing. Because I think of how many people who are in the hospital that still have a working heartbeat but are brain dead, are legally dead. yeah, sorry. I have a lot of strong emotions on this. Because honestly, everyone needs a hill to die on. Even the people you don't like, because for other people, and I definitely have some stupid hills. Like, that's a stupid hill to die on, but hey, at least you're dead. Sorry, I don't mean to get too political, but we live in a very political age. Everything is tied to politics. Everything, everything. And now I'm going to move back to the poetry and readings because I don't want to be going... I don't want to be bringing up unnecessary politics. The last thing I'll say is that I am very leftist. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a Democrat. Those bitches are pussies. But I am leftist. And that's all I'll say. Oh, this is an interesting title for a poem. A Radio with Guts. And remember, I'm reading these blind. It was on the second floor of Coronado Street. I used to get drunk and throw the radio through the window while I was playing, and, of course, it would break the glass in the window. And the radio would sit out there on the roof, still playing, and I'd tell my woman, what a marvelous radio. The next morning, I'd take the window off the hinges and carry it down the street to the glass man, who would put in another pane. I kept throwing that radio through the window each time I got drunk, and it would sit out there on the roof, still playing. A magic radio, a radio with guts, and each morning I'd take the window back to the glass man. I don't remember how it ended exactly, though I do remember we finally moved out. There was a woman downstairs who worked in the garden in her bathing suit, and her husband complained he couldn't sleep nights because of me. So we moved out, and in the next place, I either forgot to throw the radio out the window, or I didn't feel like it anymore. I do remember missing the woman who worked in the garden in her bathing suit. She really dug with that trowel, and she put her behind up in the air, and I used to sit in the window and watch the sun shine all over that thing while the music played. Sometimes poems like that can be interesting because it's just observational of one's life. It can paint an interesting picture of the way certain people live. Although in a way, he kind of reminds me of a friend I've got. Kind of a walking disaster piece, but good guy. You still love him. Next one. The Egg. He's 17. Mother, he said, how do I crack an egg? All right, she said to me. You don't have to sit there looking like that. Oh, Mother, he said, you broke the yolk. I can't eat a broken yolk. All right, she said to me. You're so tough. You've been in the slaughterhouses, factories, the jails. You're so goddamn tough. But all people don't have to be like you. That doesn't make everybody else wrong and you right. Mother, he said, can you bring me some Cokes when you come home from work? Look, Raleigh, she said, can't you get the Cokes on your bike? I'm tired after work. But, Mama, there's a hill. What hill, Raleigh? There's a hill. It's there and I have to pedal over it. All right, she said to me. You think you're so goddamn tough. You worked on the railroad track gang. I hear about it every time you get drunk. I worked on a railroad track gang. Well, I said, I did. I mean, what difference does it make? Everybody has to work somewhere. Mama, said the kid, will you bring me those Cokes? I really like the kid. I think he's very gentle. And once he learns how to crack an egg, he may do some unusual things. Meanwhile, I sleep with his mother and try to stay out of arguments. I don't even know what to make of that. That's definitely an interesting thing for me to be reading Bukowski. Because he's definitely a certain kind of poet, a certain kind of man. Well, thank you for coming, Kanaka. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Again, thank you for your company. 'Twas wonderful to have you.
Fare thee well.
Until next time. So again, the fact that Bukowski is very much a man of his times. You've definitely heard or seen this kind of man amongst the boomers. Although technically, who was it before the boomers? The greatest generation? Yeah, I think he's technically the greatest generation. But their title, not mine. He comes across as a very grizzled, alcohol-soaked kind of man. And I've definitely dealt with such men before. So seeing his perspective of things and have that contrast my experience as a woman. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, as a feminist, this is terrible work. Oh, how dare he throw it away. No, it's just worth taking it in for what it is. It kind of makes me think of another writer I enjoy, Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I actually did read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas because the film is one of my favorite films. Terry Gilliam, Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro. I was trying to remember. Which del Toro was it? Benicio del Toro. Excellent work. Love that movie. I love the bizarro. I love the hallucinations. I think it's really well done. It was interesting one time when I read the book because the movie is almost one-to-one. Now, granted, it is admitted that it's of two events, two trips to Vegas that in the movie they combined as like not quite one trip, but like one trip broken into two parts. And I can forgive that. That's perfectly reasonable for a movie to do that. But there is an enormous difference in one scene. If you've seen the movie, it's the scene near the end, the diner scene with the waitress, and they realize, oh, we have gone too far. We have overstepped too many bounds. We've crossed a line. We need to leave. We can't be staying in Vegas. And it is a dark scene. Very, I hesitate to say haunting, but the woman, as they leave, how she's struggling to keep it together, that's rough. That's rough and is... I had a somewhat similar experience to that, so I feel even more. Anyway, in the book, that scene is also at a diner, but there's more people, and they're just talking about what is the American dream. Is it even achievable? What is the American dream? When we say the American dream, what is it? That's all that scene is. It's just a bunch of characters trying to define the American dream. And that just did not get put into the movie, but I'm okay with that because there are some things that work better in book form than in film form. So, like, you can have preferences like the book versus the movie, but you do have to understand that these are two different mediums. that each have their own strengths and strengths and weaknesses. I'm starting to get winded. I don't know, maybe I'll actually like play a round or two of Hades 2, just to kind of fill in things. Although it's gonna, I'm just thinking I did not have proper setup for this this part. Maybe 10 a.m. was a bit too early for most folks, but yeah, I just tried to see what time most of my audience would be online and figured, oh, this might be a good place and time to do a stream on a quiet Sunday morning, late morning. Actually, probably not. My throat's starting to get sore. Again, I don't have a lot of experience talking for so long. And I used to be very susceptible to getting tonsillitis and strep as a kid. So, really got to take care of my throat. Where was I? Talking about Fear and Loathing, talking about the American Dream, talking about differences between books and movies. Yeah, because like there's one book that will never be adapted to the visual medium unless someone gets really creative. And if someone does, I really want to see what that creativity really do. I'm talking House of Leaves. That is specifically formatted for books. In its current incarnation, it can only exist as a book. It would be hella interesting to see it turn into a movie. I would think it would work much better in animation, because that is not as tethered to the bounds of reality. You can go as wild as you want. And honestly, I want to see more adult animation that isn't just swearing and sex jokes. I want animation that is designed for adults in the mature mindset, like Mad God. Phil Tippett. Oh, that movie has a story but no plot. It's just a strange little assassin man delving deep into the guts of the world and all the bizarro shit he passes by. The only part of that movie I didn't like was the baby screaming. I hate sounds of baby screaming, especially in horror type settings. It's not like oh, shut that kid up. It's more, that kid is in distress and I cannot help that distress, so that makes me distressed. And when the baby was finally silenced, it was very anticlimactic. So it's like, no. Dealing with all that crying, this was not worth it. This was not worth all that crying you had me sit through. But it was still so cool to see how that movie was designed and all the characters that came about it. It was like Phil Tippett just took me by the hand, or maybe took me by the paw, and just walked me through this weird and wild world that he had created. I'm running out of topics. Let's see. It's almost 12. Huh. I'm already getting sleepy. I can't be doing that. I just woke up. I woke up at around 9, and then I had to scramble to get ready. But yeah, I'm not designed for mornings. I would love it if my sleep schedule could just be 2 in the morning to 10 in the morning, because that's still 8 hours. But my day would just be a little shifted. But that's really what my circadian rhythm wants. But I am forced to be a morning person because of my various responsibilities. Oh, yeah, I don't think I can do more readings. My throat, oh God, my throat is starting to hurt. Sorry, I'm letting my voice rest. You know what? Let's do it. Let's get some let's get some gameplay going. But first, I have to figure out what it is I am doing. Can I put this into transparency? Will that work? No, that's not gonna work. Can I just... Are any of these set to be just a nice green screen? And now we have the chaos, the chaos. Why do none of these have like actual names attached to them? Yes. Apparently I should have gotten this all taken care of beforehand. But I am not a clever person. As much as I would like to think myself as being actually clever. I mean, I have my moments, but I am not exactly technically minded. Savini is having the zoomies again. I can hear him just thundering past. It's still really funny to think that my cat turned out to be, excuse me, a boy. Because when I got him, I was told Savini was a girl. And I had no reason to doubt that. I mean, I'm not going to look between the legs of my cat, especially when it hasn't even reached puberty. But no, it took them to get fixed, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, we know you marked your cat as being female on the forms, but no, this cat is a boy. We have the testicles to prove it." And then we all had to get used to using he, him pronouns. Can I really not put this model in a transparent background? Maybe that's something I gotta do later. Alright, well, I don't have the energy to play around with that sort of thing. So I'm just gonna sit back in my cozy little house with the moon behind me and the rain softly pattering. Ooh, maybe that's something I put in for the next time I do a stream. A nice, soft rain sound behind me. Oh, yeah, so relaxing. And will give you guys something to listen to beyond just my slowly degrading voice. Again, I did manage to get some recordings done. I have an Excel spreadsheet for my scheduling. I have it divided as the release date, the name of the script I am adapting, and I color code it to what kind of vocal performance it needs. It can be a gruff drama kind of voice, or my natural off-the-cuff voice, or my suave and alluring voice, or
my cutesy voice, or even just when I do a tsundere.
So I can keep it kind of fresh and lively. Because while I could absolutely just fling out whatever I want, and I definitely did that when I started, I just kind of did it in whatever order I felt like. Because, when you're starting small and kind of releasing just 2 videos a week, who cares? Who cares? But I knew I would have more time to do some recordings. So I was like, I'm having so much fun. I'm finding all these good scripts. I want to release so many. Especially because there's also the joy of finding a script that hasn't been adapted, hasn't been filled. And regardless of how long ago that person posted it on ASMR Script Haven, which is where I get my scripts, unless I'm doing it myself, it feels so good to fill a script that nobody else has done. When I posted the Is Your Wife a Dangerous Spy? That post with the script, no comments. Had some likes, but no comments at all. So that meant when I posted that it was filled, I was the first person to fill it. Unless someone was being a jackass and just didn't share their fill of the script, which is kind of goes against the rules of the subreddit, but whatever. People do what they want a lot of the times. Anyway, and I was so proud of my work on that script. It was so fun, because while I can flip a switch into the soft and sultry voice and the threatening voice, it is so much more fun to have that on a dial. Not a switch, a dial. Because I slowly sink into that voice, and it almost catches you by surprise that suddenly I'm talking in that way. I love the cold predator kind of voice. In fact, I was just browsing YouTube, and sometimes I relook at roles and cartoons that I grew up with and be like, ooh, I want to do something like that. I want to do something in that voice. Or I want to do that scene. Like when I did Am's hate monologue from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's like, oh, this is so good. I want to do it. When I do the quiet predator voice, I want to channel Shere Khan from the Jungle Book. And I'm talking the original Disney animation. None of the remakes, none of the live action, the original. Because Shere Khan owns whatever space he's in. Even when Ka is lying to his face, he's just smiling and playing along. He's like, yeah, I know you're playing me, but I'm going to win in the end. So you do whatever. That kind of cold predation, I love. I think it's so creepy. Too many times, creators seem to think that the wild, screaming, unpredictable character is scary. And don't get me wrong, those can be scary, but they can only be a certain character type. Like when they did the live action Cowboy Bebop, God help us all. They made Vicious screaming mad. That is not vicious. That is not scary. That is a grown temper tantrum. A character with that much power can't be screaming mad. That kind of character needs to have the quiet, reserved, hand close to the chest kind of deal. Cards close to the chest kind of deal. The screaming mad kind, where it's like you're stuck in a room with a prowling animal, that can only work for a character that is more feet on boots to the ground. At the very least, they would be fine in the dragon archetype, the TV trope where you have the big bad, and then you have the dragon, the second in command. Like, Emperor Palpatine is the big bad, Darth Vader is the dragon. Now, obviously, Darth Vader is not screaming mad, but that's the archetype I'm trying to share with you. It's really good when you have the big bad being the quiet threat, the planner. And then the dragon is just the mad dog on the chain. Again, both can be good, but they're not universal in how scary they can be. Again, I could talk to myself for a while more, but my throat is starting to hurt. And my tea and my honey can only do so much. So I think this is as good a time to end this stream. This was kind of fun to do for a first stream. Kind of sad I didn't get to read more. But it's also important to know where one's limits are. I definitely want to do this again. I hope to further entertain you guys. I hope that future streams have some more people just to, get conversation going. Because, again, I can do a lot of the talking, but I just need to get the ball rolling. And sometimes need a little help for that. Maybe I'll do it again this coming Saturday, because next Sunday I am going to be very busy. I've got an event literally all day. Like, I'm not going to get back home until after midnight. It's going to be exhausting, but so fucking worth it. I love these events. And maybe I'll talk more about it later. So, my darlings, my followers, thank you again so much, but I must bid you adieu. I'm going to heal my throat and probably take a nap, and then I'm going to go out the rest of the day. If you missed it, I did post a new video. What is it? The vampire barista chooses you as her forever drink. Vampires, fucking love vampires, and being a wickedly playful vampire, very fun. Although for first time, I noticed I got a request to do F for F or F for A, because that was an F for M script. And I figured I don't have a lot of scripts that are just one sex designation. But I have noticed that my female audience is growing, slowly but surely. At least 6% of my audience is now female. And ladies, I see you. And I will try to tend to you as well. Because I am an equal opportunist. And aggressively bisexual. Okay, enough of the, what would you call this? It's not preamble, because preamble is the beginning. This is the end. So, I don't know, maybe just one more. Bye-bye. I love you guys. Hope to see you again sometime. And don't hesitate to, leave comments, try to chat with me. Maybe I'll post a link to my marshmallow later so you can ask me things anonymously. Because I know a lot of people get afraid of that, and even I do. Okay. Enough talk. My throat hurts. I love you, darlings. Until next time, stay safe out there.